Maine has an endless treasure trove of stories of the sea. They are captured in several of our museums, in old logbooks and maps, tools and artifacts from voyages around the world. One museum has amassed an extraordinary collection of images of the old and not so old days of our maritime history. And people around the world want to share it. 207's Don Carrigan joins us now with the story. Don?
Hey, Rob. The Penobscot Marine Museum started almost 90 years ago to collect the seagoing history of Maine from the 1800s, which it did, but now it's using some of the most modern techniques to share some of that collection with the outside world. These days, most of the working boats on Maine's coast look like this. But there was a time when Maine's working waterfront was filled with big ships, square riggers that could sail the world, and did. Those days, those ships and those who sailed them are remembered here, the Penobscot Marine Museum in Searsport.
We grew out of the stories of the local sea captains, but now we really embrace the full history of life and work on the coast of Maine.
Those old sea captains lived in some of these very houses, which now hold the museum and are exhibits in themselves. And those captains, Searsport had a lot of them.
And there's something in the water here in Searsport, so that brothers and uncles and fathers and sons went to sea for at least 2 or 3 generations.
All over the world.
All over the world.
Curator Sipperly Good says those are the stories the museum set out to tell when it began almost 90 years ago.
You open a box and the logbook has a caption where the wife took over the cruise when her husband died, and she becomes the captain.
Nowadays, the museum has expanded its mission, focusing on all of the work done along this coast, from fishing to hauling Maine cargoes, even how and where people lived. And one of their best tools for telling those stories are pictures, photographs. They have built a vast archive of at least 500,000 images.
I'm pretty comfortable with that number, and we unofficially are the largest archive in the state. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without these volunteers.
Kevin Johnson heads the museum's photo archive, where a team of volunteers helps catalog the seemingly endless images, putting more and more of them online for others to explore.
What inspires me to do this so much is that by making these photos available online and for people to see, it's not just for their enjoyment, it's for the photos to be put to work. And so we get contacted regularly by authors, filmmakers, historical societies, teachers that want to use our photos for books, articles, websites, films, you name it.
Lots of people who may never visit here.
Correct. People from other sides of the world.
The Maine coast is the constant, which is why the museum is now using these photos along with artifacts and oral histories to tell the story of Maine's once big sardine industry.
We timed this perfectly because sardines are having a moment.
Sardines are being talked about now as healthy food, she says. Maine doesn't catch and can the little fish anymore, but the museum exhibit can remind us of the days when we did, and how, for much of the 20th century, sardines were part of the coastal culture.
It's been great because we started the whole process by interviewing people who worked in the canneries and in the fisheries to really capture those stories while we could. And people have been really excited for the opportunity to come forward and tell their stories. 5 blasts were for fish, 3 were for packers.
They're even holding a big sardine fest in the fall with tastings, music, and workers from the old days. The old Searsport sea captains are still here. So that's a glass plate. But like the photo archive that's still growing, the museum is looking for new ways to reach out, to share their collection and this place, and tell Maine's long story of the sea. So the Sardine Fest is October 4th. They're going to have at least one of the former world champion sardine packers there, woman from Maine, and food and music and all of this. And Rob, as somebody who remembers going through sardine plants back in the 70s and early 80s as a reporter and seeing that world as it was headed for oblivion, really, for a variety of reasons. It's fascinating to bring that back and to recall in coastal communities from Eastport all the way to Portland, what a vital part of local culture that was.
Yeah, you covered that. I covered the tail end of it, and it was always fascinating to go into those canneries and see the extraordinary speed with which the workers, mainly women, could do their jobs. They were just maestros.
That was one of my introductions to the notion of piecework.
Yeah.
That, just like in the shoe shops, the faster you work, the more money you made. So it was quite a lesson.
And of course, I love old photos. For
wonderful.
me, they're just time portals, and I just get lost in them, and I just never can get enough of them.
Oh, easy to do, and they're fascinating things. And, and it's funny, you can look at a photo from 1975, might be color, might be black and white, and look at one from 1875, and you just think some aspects of that world didn't change, and then everything changed.
Yeah, no, in your story there was a photo of Maine Drag in Wiscasset. Hasn't changed all that much.
No, it hasn't, except for red seats.